Boom, 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 boom.
Banana, 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 banana. Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Geeks Not Nerds, the podcast. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Vince.
And due to budget cuts, we are not able to use our actual theme song today, so we have to do everything ourselves. Fade out. No, just kidding. Oh, okay. So today, Vince and I are going to talk about social commentary in films and whether or not films have to have it.
Is it necessary? Yes. Is it necessary? What is it?
That's great. That's great. Was that a wow? What was that a reference to?
Was
that a reference to Nightmare Before Christmas?
Well, no, it was a reference to that song. What is it?
What is it? That's a song?
Yeah, well, it's part of a song, but I can't remember what the name of the song is.
Well, I'm actually reminded of a Tick episode, like I always am. There's Tick versus Porta-Clown, where they keep calling the clown it, and then Tick is like,
really cool.
And then Tick is like, how bad could it be? And of course, that's a reference to Stephen King, which is really funny. It, the giant clown. And
that's why I said it was really cool. Like, that's clever. I like that.
So anyway, social commentary in film. This is a topic that Vince came up with. Vince, so what do you think? Since this is your topic, do films have to have social commentary to be good?
Every film has to have some kind of driving point that can make your movie pretentious and therefore enjoyable. Well, I do have like a big ultimatum type of thing that I would say that a good movie will come down some way on some issue because your character will inevitably have to make a choice, and your movie will or will not support your character's choice.
Yeah, but does it necessarily have to be an issue? You know what I mean? Like, is every character arc in a film synonymous with a social issue?
See, I think that may be part of a mistake that particularly young writers start out. They think, I need to write this movie about something, and by
which
writing,
we talk about a lot. Yeah.
But by writing this movie about something, they're forgetting that they're writing a movie about something regardless of whether or not they're making it about an issue. I mean, I think that it is some kind of social commentary. You are making a comment on the human condition by making your character make a choice.
But that's different than social commentary.
I suppose that's true.
Because social commentary usually is, and it's a word that we throw around a lot, especially currently, people who talk about entertainment like to talk about social commentary. Mm-hmm. There's a difference between commenting on the human condition and talking and commenting on society on the whole, the way it is right now. And that's what social commentary generally is doing. So I would make the case that just because you're dealing with humanity doesn't mean you're dealing with social commentary. Because commentary, the definition of commentary is it sounds stupid, but you're commenting on something. You're making a case about the way something is. That's commentary. I think it's different from observation.
You know what
I'm saying? Like a lot of times, good character arcs are observation of people and what people are like, which is different from actually coming down on one side or the other of that.
Well, that's interesting. I think that I believe I've mentioned this movie on the podcast before, but I think this movie is called Elephant. That's about a school shooting, and it follows several different characters, and basically it has these people just making these decisions. Like, for example, they have the two kids that we follow their journey to the point that they're going to go shoot people. And then we follow some kids' journey while they're at the school. Like, somebody decides to be a hero and try to take them down. Somebody tries to be a hero and get people out of there, as opposed to trying to take them down. And then we follow people whose lives just get ruined by this event. And so the reason I bring that up is that this movie is almost wholly observation. And it's hard to think of it that way because, when you're watching a movie, you will bring your own opinions about the way society works to that movie. Mm-hmm. And the big thing that we talked about this movie in one of my film classes, it was the violence class that I always keep coming back to in the podcast. But the reason...
Which is why Vince only ever talked about violent films.
Yes, I must see things be killed. But, that's unfortunate. but which makes romantic comedies difficult, to be frank. But the big reason we talked about this movie is this. Apparently, this guy's endeavor was to make a movie that doesn't comment on the actual events that were happening on screen. It just makes a movie that shows things unraveling. And how does that fit with social commentary? I mean, we have this movie that's trying to have no commentary.
Yeah, sure.
So, was it a good movie? Was it a bad movie?
It's an exercise. It's experimental.
Yeah.
Films can be that, and then it's difficult to weigh its success, certainly.
I think that the way that I'm going to have to at least start this conversation is to say that a film does not need social commentary, but social commentary can make a film better.
Absolutely, that's where I would come down on it too. Well, thanks a lot for listening.
But on that same note, I think that social commentary can also hurt your movie. I mean,
I think so too. Yeah, especially when it's bad.
Yeah.
Or when it's too, and by bad, I think generally I mean too in your face, too obvious.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm going to say this. I just kicked the desk. I'm going to say that District 9. Here's a movie that has a heavy-handed social commentary.
Heavy-handed, that's what I think too.
And when you're watching this movie, I couldn't help but think, I liked this movie. I thought it was a well-done movie, at least in some facets. But
and you know me, I didn't care for it at all.
Well, that's the thing. But it's so old hat. Like, oh, really? You mean we shouldn't hate people that are different from ourselves? Oh my God!
Yeah, well, I felt the same thing. I feel like we always bash the same movies, but I felt the same thing about Avatar.
Mm-hmm. I mean, when I watch something that has social comment, like I've watched a couple episodes of Glee in the past few months, and I gotta tell you, the social commentary is the most old hat after-school special stuff you've ever seen.
Yeah, and it's thick and it's obvious. Yeah,
I mean, it's all about we shouldn't hate people that are different, and I do know that people need that in their lives. They need to be constantly reminded that just because something is not you does not mean that it's bad. Because of course we do have hate crime, and we do have all of these things that culminate, and people need to be constantly reminded.
Why do you think A Christmas Carol is so endearing and keeps getting remade over and over again? It's about a guy who learns how to care about people.
I mean, it's annoying to me to some extent to watch the same social commentary in movies over and over again.
Yeah.
But,
No, I agree with that. I always kind of come down the same way when people ask us or when we talk about what is making something successful in a movie. On the most important thing is that you've got well-rounded characters that we care about. I mean, like that's it. Everything else is secondary. I mean, like as long as, and not every character or not every movie has to be a deep character study. I don't mean that. I do generally seem to prefer those. And that's somewhat of a taste thing, but you want characters that are three-dimensional, that feel like real people, and then all of those other concerns, messages, social commentary, those things become secondary to following a character's journey. Mm-hmm. And so as long as that's there, no, it doesn't need social commentary. Now, can that help it? Yeah, I would also make the case that social commentary very, very often is not the be-all, end-all to the success of a film, but very often helps give it some ambiance. Yeah.
If your movie has some sort of driving social commentary, then it gives your audience something to think about. I mean, because they're sitting there, they're watching this movie, and they're engaged by the characters and what the characters are doing in their trials and tribulations. However, when they go home and they go, man, I really like that movie, and then they think, oh wait, well, there was that big message there, and then they start putting all the pieces together, and they think about it more. And I think it's just good because it makes people think about your movie. I mean, as a filmmaker, it seems like and I don't mean as a filmmaker for me, but I think as a filmmaker it would help you.
Yeah.
Because people would be talking about you.
Well, and very often when it's done right, it makes the film more rewatchable. It's good when movies are watchable on multiple levels. And I talk about this about Lost a lot. Not a movie, a TV show, of course. But what was always neat about Lost for me was that was a show. I mean, regardless of all the crazy mystery that you're trying to unravel and all of that. What was neat about that show was that it was watchable on two different levels. You've got cool character stuff going on, and you've got characters that are going through large arcs throughout the series, and then small arcs within episodes, character arcs, and that show very often was a character study of certain characters, or of each character that the episode was about. But also, it would have this more underlying symbolic thing where it was about history, and it was about parallelism, and it was about patterns that happen over time, and things like that. And you could watch it on multiple levels, and that's what was kind of neat about it. And so with especially like with the naming of characters, but also with decisions certain characters would make based on you look at that and you'd be like, well, is that contrary to or similar to their namesake and things like that. You had a lot of characters that were symbolizing other kinds of characters. There was a whole lot of religion and stuff like that. And I think we've talked about symbolism really hard on some other shows too. Being able to watch things on multiple levels is really cool, and so social commentary will give you that. This is the reason I like Sky High so much, and I know it's funny that I would bring that up here, but
it's funny, but it's good. I mean, it's a valid point.
When I reviewed that movie, the thing that I was, and again, that was the first time I'd seen it when I reviewed it. It was about a month ago, and the thing that I was so impressed with about it was that on the surface, it's just a silly parody of superhero films and kind of a tribute to superhero movies. But then, if you're really thinking about it, there's all this social commentary about problems in the public school system. And did the movie have to have that to still be good and enjoyable? No, but it helped because it gave it character. And it was more about something. And again, it wasn't heavy-handed. It was tongue-in-cheek. It was making fun of it. It was doing that thing. And I think that Vince, you being as big into comedy as you are, you can probably appreciate this. It was very much that kind of mentality of, if we can't make fun of ourselves,
yeah.
I always love movies that can do that.
Yeah, I think things need to be aware of what they are, and I think that things need to be aware of what commentary they're making. And I think that, here's something that, I don't know, maybe we can talk about this. I think that social commentary should be allowed to be made fun of.
What do you mean?
I mean, if you have a movie and you have a particular issue that comes to light in there, say, oh, maybe we shouldn't hate people that are different. So, you can make fun of things a little bit. You can have some fun with that. And I think it's a little edgy if you try to do that, but it makes if you're going to do something that's old hat, have a little bit of fun.
I'm with you, because a lot of times what you end up with things like that is it's preachy, but it also makes characters just seem really super uptight, and they can't laugh at anything.
Yeah,
and so I'm with you. It's fun when things can manage that.
And I think what we're talking about right now would have to take place at a premise to execution level, as opposed to I had this idea, now let's make it funny.
Yeah,
because that could be a disaster on many levels.
Yeah, that has to unfold naturally.
I just had this thought that you were talking about rewatchability earlier, and one of the things that people like to tell me about rewatchability, like, oh, you could rewatch it and find all the references in it. And at that point it becomes a puzzle, and I lose interest. I do not care to try to figure out all of the comic book quotes and references that are in Daredevil. The ones I caught were enough for me, and if somebody wants to point one out to me, that's cool, but I'm not going to watch it 20 times and take notes trying to figure out every little nuance that happens to be in whatever comic book movie I'm talking about. And why would commentary, social commentary that is, make a movie more rewatchable? Well, there's a difference between making a list of things and doing something that you could, or watching something with the intent that you could potentially write a paper on it.
Yeah, it's more like, I watched this movie once, and it was this kind of movie, and I watched it a second time, and it was a totally different movie.
Yeah.
When that can happen, that's amazing. And I don't know. I think the first couple times I watched The Matrix, I had that. Yeah. The Matrix, the first time I saw it, action movie. Mm-hmm. Second time I saw it, oh, this is what it's about. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes any sense.
I think part of what... why did I say I think twice? I think part of what...
I think twice.
I think twice before I say anything once, because then it keeps me putting my foot in my mouth.
That makes you a better man than I.
But take that, desk and bottle of soda. Oh, man, I hope that doesn't hurt our viewers' ears. But... our listeners' ears. I suppose it is a podcast. But
sorry, I just got in a big fight with my Coke bottle.
But why is something why would commentary be rewatchable? Because it develops a dialogue. If you have a different experience watching the same movie, it means that there is more to be covered, and there is more to be thought about. And with something that just has a bunch of Easter eggs in it, make a list and be done with it.
Yeah, that's different. You're right.
We're just talking about rewatchability, not necessarily social commentary at this group.
Yeah, but that's fair. It's a good time to talk about it. My favorite thing are just super, super dense movies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Beautiful Mind. What a dense film.
Right. It's been a long time since I've seen that movie. I watched it once.
Yeah, do it again, man.
Oh, Beautiful Mind.
But anyway.
But, this reminds me a little bit, I'll say this, between social commentary being added to a movie, or being an effective add-on to a movie, and being the movie itself. Mm-hmm. Romero made two movies. One, Dawn of the Dead, and the other one that I'm going to reference is The Crazies. Not the recent one, but of course the original one. Mm-hmm. But the reason why Dawn of the Dead was so interesting was because it was about these four major characters who had a series of difficulties and eventually make decisions on their own, and that happened toward the end of the film. But the social commentary that was happening in the original Dawn of the Dead was we have all of this consumer culture being essentially attacked by Romero himself. He's saying that the people are zombies. They're this mindless consumers that go in there and they want to buy stuff. And where do they go after the apocalypse? Well, they go to the mall and they walk around because that's what they do.
Yeah, but see, that's neat and inventive.
Yeah.
Because what you're dealing with there is parallelism. Mm-hmm. Once again, I think there's a lot of people who think that social commentary is something other than it is. Mm-hmm. When you make a movie that's just about something... Yeah. And you're coming down one way or another on an actual issue, and it's not metaphor. I'm not saying that social commentary is always necessarily metaphorical, but it's usually subtler than just we're going to make a movie about this thing, like Apocalypse Now. Tell me, is that social commentary, or is that just we're going to make a movie that looks really deeply and look really hard about that war?
No,
you see what I'm saying?
I haven't actually seen Apocalypse Now.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
I know I bring that up a lot, but.
Well, the reason
it's
why...
a good example for things like this. Okay, Planet of the Apes, social commentary.
It's been forever since I've seen Planet of the Apes.
And they're making a prequel that's very social commentary.
It looks interesting.
It does.
I kind of want to see it.
I had no interest in it until I saw that. But I mean, yeah, that's the way that they're doing the prequel is it's all about genetic engineering.
Yeah.
We destroy ourselves by accidentally creating this brilliant life form. That's classic science fiction, and science fiction, by the way, filled with social commentary. Right. 1984, Fahrenheit 451, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
That thought went away, but it was amusing. Oh, so you're excited for one of the two trailers that came out that's in my head right now for First Class. And the first one was the Planet of the Apes, the prequel, and the other one was Rock'em Sock'em Robots, the movie.
That looked ridiculous.
I just wanted to mention that.
Starring Hugh Jackman, I was like, what?
Or like Real Steel. Aw. You see, I might have considered going to see it if it was called Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
Yeah, but Real Steel? Sounds like a bad Wii game.
That would have been hilarious, and Parker Brothers would have made mint on that.
Well, and considering the fact that there's all these other board games and things that are getting movies now, I mean,
yeah, why not?
Film, and or at least I think they are, and I don't know.
Why
are we talking about this?
I don't know. I just wanted to bring it up. But anyway, The Crazies. The Crazies, I think, sort of supports what Cap here is saying about making a movie about something. And this movie, The Crazies, is almost entirely about the government's inability to communicate within itself and effectively take care of any problem.
Yeah.
So it becomes this horrible bureaucracy full of, these things need to happen because I say so and I am the one that has the power. And nobody's talking to anybody, so the people with the brains aren't doing what they have to do. Mm-hmm. And the people with the brawn aren't lifting the things that they have to lift. And it just turns into this horribly convoluted situation that inevitably leads to something that's even worse. So, what's that movie about? Well, the movie's about that. The social commentary is about that. We have no characters that we really latch on to. And it ultimately is a horribly boring movie.
Yeah. And again, I have done reviews where I'll say, this would have been bad were it a different movie, but the intention was such a different thing that it works here because it was trying to do something different. And I've had commenters before that have said, intention isn't everything, and sometimes that's right. Sometimes it's not, but the idea that just because you decided you wanted to make a movie to make a person feel a certain way, which is what that is, you know what I mean? Where it's like we want you to experience this. We don't really want to talk about it. We don't really want to have engaging characters that we get in their heads. We just want to put you fly on the wall, as you always say. We just want to put you as a fly on the wall to experience this particular slice of life. If the intention is we just want you to experience that, and that's all the intention is, then if you feel like you experienced that, then the film is doing what it set out to do. But does that make it a successful movie? And that's for each individual person to decide for themselves.
Let's talk about this. I think this is a good thing because that's something that I think I differ with on a lot of people that I went to college with. Is intent enough? In my opinion, no, it is not. Because if you want your characters, if you wanted to have some results, then why am I watching this as any kind of entertainment? Yeah, this is homework.
That's right.
If you wanted to make a movie that was about how the government doesn't work, why didn't you just write a paper? You could write a paper to tell me that people don't people don't talk to each other to a good point and have a communication level to where things work out fine. Well, that's cool, but I don't need to sit there for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and let you essentially fill me with the same feeling and try to get me, I don't know, maybe it's just a way to get people up in arms.
Yeah, and again, I think sometimes people just want to see, what they can get people to experience. Where it's like you went and you saw that, and if you hated it, that was the point. You know what I mean? Like Passion of the Christ. There's a movie that's not entertaining in any way whatsoever. That's not it wasn't meant to be an entertaining film. That film was made so that people would. The intent was, for people to experience the crucifixion and death of Jesus Christ. That was the point of the movie. They wanted you to go in there and feel the pain without actually feeling the pain of Jesus Christ dying on the cross. And then the question just becomes, is that a worthwhile endeavor? It was a very painful experience for me when I saw that movie. You know what I mean? I was just like, I don't want to sit through this. But that was the intent. You know what I mean? It was supposed to be, a very difficult experience. That was the point.
You see, in my head, then what you're
and a lot of movies like that are considered to be wonderful artistic works.
See, in my head, what you're trying to do is not make anything within a story medium. You're just trying to use images to instill a feeling.
That's right.
So, effectively, you're not making a film anymore. You're not making a movie or anything. You're just making video about hurting people. And that's a problem for me. I don't... See, because that leads, in my head at least, that leads to a point to where there's no real quality control for how to tell a story. It's about...
Well, the intention, as you said, is not about telling a story at that point.
Yeah, but it's being looped in with everything that is about telling a story.
You're right.
And I think that calling The Passion of the Christ, calling The Crazies a movie in the same vein that stories are movies, would be the same thing as calling an essay a short story. So why am I reading this textbook? Well, because it's a novel. No, that's not a novel. That's a textbook.
Yeah, or like you said, at least looping it in the same way. Documentaries are still films.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, I do agree with you. I feel like a lot of times these things are certainly at least not advertised much differently.
Maybe I'm being a little pretentious, or maybe I'm being a little naive, or
something,
or too common. Maybe I'm one or the other here, but maybe I'm just not artsy enough to appreciate that. in a way.
That's me too. I guess my thing is, if I'm going to go pay money and sit in the movie theater and see a film, I like to be entertained. That's always my thing. And I get sick of obsession with realism, and I get sick of people who don't have an appreciation for escapist fiction. And not everything needs to be escapist.
Yeah.
But not everything needs to be ultra realistic either. And I feel like that it has, to a point, made at least a lot of people in our society kind of cynical. We don't want to just go enjoy something anymore. Like, it has to, everything has to be super, super, deep. And these days, a lot of times, deep equals depressing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And again, I write 20-minute essays on superhero films, okay? I like a movie to be... This is part of why I do it with superhero movies. I mean, I want a movie to be really entertaining. It's a really added bonus when the story works.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, I'm just...
I think that's a terrific point, because there's a difference between saying that something can be escapist and something can be realistic, and saying that something's good or bad. And I think that people fully need to understand that's the difference between escapist and realistic and good and bad. I mean, we can have an escapist movie that is good. We can have an escapist movie that has everything in it that it needs to be an actual film. It isn't just
a good story. Yeah.
I mean, I'm getting a little wrapped up in my head here, and I'm not saying everything I need to say to be able to make sense.
Die Hard.
Die Hard is a terrific movie.
Has a decent character arc for that character, yeah.
And it's deep. It has some social commentary.
I'm not going to call that a deep movie.
No, it does have social commentary.
But it's a good movie, yeah.
It does have some. It does have a bit of an undercurrent. I mean, look at all the major villains in that movie. Those guys are all white-collar, upper-crust people. Look at all the people who aren't necessarily villains, but basically hurt John McClane's endeavor of trying to rescue the people in that building. They're all white-collar people. Who are the guys that get stuff done in that movie? All these blue-collar, working-class people.
That's a good point.
So there is an undercurrent in this movie. There is it is a fairly smart movie, even though it's out there. It is a bit escapist in itself.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So,
but I think you can be both, and I think it's great when you can. Well, Vince, let's go ahead and go to rants, shall we? Would you like to start?
Sure.
Go ahead, man.
I'm tired of people saying we need to sex it up a bit. I'm tired
because
of it.
I hear that all the time. No, what do you...
No, I mean, it's not as common as, yeah, I know, right? But I'm tired of people saying that, too. But I'm tired of people saying we need to sex it up a bit.
You should make Vince's big book of irritating colloquialism.
See, I at least have a page full of it. So, see, sex it up, what's that really mean? What people are starting to say it as, not that it's so common, but what people are starting to say it as is we need to make it more appealing. And
you mean you hear this out of the context of like sex, really?
Yeah, people say we need to sex it up a bit, meaning we need to make this more appealing to the masses.
Oh.
And
that's what that means?
That annoys me when people say it that way.
I guess I didn't even know what that meant.
Because when somebody says we need to sex it up a bit, as in, hey, let's lower her top and hike up her skirt a bit. Let's add some sex to this. Then I go, okay, whatever. I understand. It's stupid, but I get it. It's kind of like saying we need to sugar it up a bit. Well, what are you going to do? I'm going to add 2 pounds of sugar to this 1 cup of ice cream, and we're going to make this thing the sugariest thing ever. But
yeah, but when you're like, we just made this really boring looking billboard for ice cream. We need to sex it up a little bit.
Yeah. You see, if you're actually adding sexuality to something, then I'll let it pass. But to say we need to sex it up a bit is, I understand it's a figurative statement.
Yeah, but if it's just, that's vanilla ice cream, it ought to be Rocky Road. That's how we sex it up.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like this.
I love your point.
This is annoying to me, and I hate the people that do that. Well, at least as far as they say that stuff.
He hates them.
I get annoyed.
He's going to kill them all.
I shall destroy them. Anyway.
Hit them over the head with Vince's big book of irritating colors.
So I guess I'm done. It's just, please don't say let's sex it up.
No, that's a great point. Okay, here's my rant. DC Comics. would you please do me a big favor and allow some books to get past issue 12? Please. So DC is doing their big giant reboot, and I don't want to talk about the reboot because I've done that on Duke's news show. But what I really want to talk about just for a couple minutes is DC and Marvel does this too. But lately, like DC has this habit of just starting books over a lot. Like, okay, what I want to know is why we make such a big deal out of the difference between miniseries and regular series, right? So you had Batman Beyond, which was a 6-issue miniseries, okay? And then, and it was supposed to be a 6-issue miniseries, then it was done. It got popular enough, they decided to make it a monthly. Starts over with issue 1. The 6 issues came out monthly. The next issue came out either the very next month or like a month and a half later. And of course, it was issue 1. Now, I get that this happens a lot, that we have miniseries and then we have monthlies. But here's the thing. Same exact creative team. Coming off the heels of that miniseries, and the next arc directly ties to the first arc. Why couldn't we just go to 7? It's already monthly. Why can't we just say, hey, this miniseries is not going to be a monthly series? Why can't we just keep the numbering the same? I don't really get it. They're doing this, and then they're doing this the other direction with Batman Inc. Really frustrates me because they're doing their big 52 new number 1 initiative, so they need more number 1s. So even though they're doing this, okay, I'll quit calling it a reboot because apparently DC doesn't want us to, so I'll call it a relaunch.
We don't want any confusion with the cartoon show.
Anyway, sorry, I just got that. So Batman Inc. is going to go ahead and finish up. They're going to actually let it finish, even though they're going to go ahead at the beginning of the relaunch and have there only be one Batman and Dick Grayson as Nightwing again, etc., etc. But Morrison is going to have 12 issues to finish his 6-year run on Batman throughout his various Bat titles, which is irritating in and of itself for multiple reasons, but I won't get into it. The thing that's weird about this is Batman Inc. is going to start over at issue 1 and be a maxi series. They're going to do a 12-issue Batman Inc. maxi series. Batman Inc. started as a monthly, with no talk about how long exactly it was going to go. It's not a miniseries. It wasn't called a maxi series. It was just going to go until Morrison was done with it. And in fact, was considered the main Batman title for a while. I mean, like, everybody that was reading Batman pretty much was reading Batman Inc. Or at least a lot of people, and most people consider it to be the best Batman title, besides Detective. So it's weird to me that you would do like 8 or however many issues they're gonna keep with that numbering system, and then start over at issue 1. Why not just keep the numbering system the same? Anyway, I just think it's annoying because it's confusing and it's just kind of ridiculous. So I don't know.
I am a little confused here actually. I don't quite understand what. So they're gonna let him do the first 8 of Batman Inc. and then
or however many they're doing. I'm not sure how far it's gonna get before they start the system over because they're gonna stop it for a while and then come back in 2012.
So when 2012 hits, they're gonna do like 1 through 12 of Batman Inc.
Yes, and that's gonna be its own series. Even though it's just going to continue where Batman Inc. left off.
That's dumb.
That's what I think. I think maybe they feel like they have to start over at number 1 because they're going to wait a few months to come back to it. But this happens all the time, right? Where books will stop for a while and come back at the same number.
Yeah.
Anyway, maybe I'm making too big of a deal out of it, but
it's like the opposite of the 50s, where they just kept numbering regardless of what the title was. They're just going to change the book. Like, I know it was horror stuff. Now it's going to be science fiction. Next week it's going to be romantic.
That was nuts for X-Men because they could not decide whether they wanted that book to be called Uncanny X-Men or X-Men. So the numbering system stays the same, but the book title kept changing.
Next will be the X-Canny Unmen.
So anyway, it looks bad on a shelf, I guess is really what I'm getting at. Where here I am. Sorry, Vince was drinking something. Here I am trying to catalog my collection, and these things keep starting over. I've got like 5 different Gambit titles, each with about 5 or 6 issues each, and it's really annoying because all the logos look identical, so it's really hard to tell which one fit in which series.
That's going to make shopping at Hastings a real pain because none of these people know how to organize a comic anyway. So I'll go there and I'll be like, Amazing Spider-Man #1, Spectacular Spider-Man #1, Amazing Spider-Man #2, Spectacular Spider-Man #2.
Yeah, that's exactly what it would look like too.
Ultimate Spidey 3. Ooh, you guys know what you're doing, don't you?
Well, anyway, that's all I had on that. So
Yeah, me too. I'm done talking about your topic.
well, no, that's cool. No, I'm sorry. I talked all the way through your topic, but it cracked me up so much I couldn't help myself.
You know what they need to do? They need to sex up the numbering system. Hang on, I'm going to go kill myself for saying that.
Oh, and since I don't want to talk about numbering 2 weeks in a row, I'll also just throw this out there real quick. I get that they want to do all these new #1s to try to bring in new readers, but did we have to do it to Detective and Batman and Action Comics, books that have been going for 60 or 70 years with the same numbering? The ones that have lasted the longest, did we have to start them? Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm very upset about that.
Yeah.
And I've heard a lot of people say this, and they're right. That when when Detective and Action get to #100, they'll switch it back to 1,000. You just know they'll do that because it's a landmark. They always do this with landmarks.
Stupid DC being dumb.
Well, anyway, thanks a lot for listening to Geeks Not Nerds, the podcast. I'm Captain Logan,
And I'm Vince.
and we'll see you next time.